places at once. All right. Good afternoon, good evening to our friend Herve De Lys, who, as you know, is the UNICEF representative in Afghanistan. He's joining us from Kabul to update us about the situation on the ground. We will go to him in just 1 minute. I wanted to flag also at 3:15, the Foreign Secretary of India, Harsh Shringla, will brief you at the Security Council stakeout after the meeting on Afghanistan, at the stakeout live in person. Before we go to Hervé, I just want to flag a couple of Afghanistan humanitarian notes, and then we'll go to him. And that's that the World Food Program said a plane carrying its medicines and health supplies landed today in Afghanistan. This is the first shipment of medical supplies to land in the country since the Taliban took control. 12.5 metric tons of supplies are enough to cover the basic health needs of more than 200,000 people, as well as provide 3,500 surgical procedures and treat 6,500 trauma patients. They will be immediately delivered to 40 health facilities in 29 provinces across Afghanistan. The plane, which was provided by the government of Pakistan, flew directly to Mazar-e-Sharif. This is the first of 3 flights planned with Pakistani International Airlines to fill urgent shortages in medicine and medical supplies. Our friends in Rome at the UN Food and Agriculture Organization also said that food production and agricultural livelihoods are under extreme pressure in Afghanistan. FAO warned that if we fail to assist the people most impacted by acute drought, large numbers will be forced to abandon their farms and be displaced in certain areas. FAO added that Afghan herders and livestock owners also urgently need assistance to counter the impact of drought during the coming winter season. 3 million animals are estimated to be at risk, making livestock protection urgently critical for herders and livestock owners across the country. FAO, along with its partners, is working to ensure access to livelihood protection, assistance, and to strengthen resilience capacities of farmers and herders in Afghanistan. And lastly, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, noted that the airlifts out of Kabul will be ending in a matter of days, but that the tragedy that has unfolded will no longer be as visible. It will still be a daily reality for millions of Afghans. The High Commissioner stressed that we must not turn away and that a far greater humanitarian crisis is just beginning. He pointed out that 3.5 million people have already been displaced by violence within Afghanistan, more than 500,000 since the start of this year, and that most have no regular channels through which to seek safety. Okay, I will leave it at that on the Afghanistan file, but I will now turn it to someone who is much closer to the action. So Herve De Lys is the UNICEF representative in Kabul. Herve, welcome back to the briefing. You have the floor, and then there will be lots of questions addressed to you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Stéphane, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today in Afghanistan, we nearly have about 10 million children in desperate needs of assistance. And unfortunately, those least responsible for this crisis are paying the highest price, including the children killed and injured in a series of atrocities in Kabul since last Thursday. Again, today, I heard of more unsettling reports of unaccompanied children across the country, along with more testimonies of grave violations, including children being recruited by armed groups. It is good, unfortunately, to remember that this year alone, more than 550 children have been killed and more than 1,400 injured. This is clearly a child protection crisis in a country that is already one of the worst places on earth to be a child. Against this backdrop of conflict and insecurity, children are living in communities that are running out of water because of the drought. They are missing life-saving vaccines, including against polio, a disease that leaves them paralyzed for life. And many are so malnourished that they lie in hospital beds too weak to grasp an outstretched finger. These children are deprived of their rights to a healthy and protected childhood. It is for each of every one of these children that UNICEF is staying. We have been in Afghanistan for 65 years, and we are here to deliver critical aid and enable services for those most in need. We are doing this through our 5 zonal offices nationwide and our network of partners from community elders, women's groups, social extenders, local NGOs, and private companies to transport our critical supplies, most of it coming from Pakistan. Through our proven ability to embrace technology, instead of giving communities what we think they want, UNICEF Afghanistan is using U-Report, a free text message-based service that enables us to ask them what they need. Last Thursday, over 100,000 people, 15,000 of whom are girls, told us that the most important thing we could do for them is to give them cash-based assistance. So that is one of the response on which UNICEF Afghanistan is ready to roll out. As you know, cash gives people the power to choose what they need the most while maintaining their dignity. And with the winter around the corner, maybe a mother needs warm coats for children, or maybe the family will buy some basic food staple or heating charcoal, or maybe the girls in the family need more school books. When it comes to girls' education, let me be clear. UNICEF has always and will always be advocating for all girls in Afghanistan, including those with disabilities. We will advocate for them to attend primary and secondary school and go to university if they choose so. And while vulnerable families share with UNICEF what basic items and services they need, we are concerned about headlines around international donors cutting or opposing aid to the country, not just for UNICEF, but for other aid agencies as well. We are also concerned about ensuring the safety and security needed to deliver programs nationwide, especially those that require the involvement of our female national staff and female social workers. So we urge all partners to support us as we start implementing our scale-up plan, which includes providing mobile health clinics so that families on the move or living in hard-to-reach areas can receive medical care, vaccinating babies against polio and other vaccines-preventable diseases, and vaccinating people against COVID-19, treating children who are severely, acutely malnourished, delivering water to areas affected by the drought and distributing hygiene kits, and getting children ready for school and school ready for children for the new term scheduled next month. It is our ambition to reach 300,000 children, of whom more than half are girls, through our community-based classes in areas where previously there was no school. Finally, I want to finish my remarks to you as I began on the issue of child protection. The events of last week amplified the imperative of protecting the most vulnerable children. You saw many of them at the airport, despairing families lifting their sons and daughters over the perimeter wall, bewildered children lost in the crowd. When we saw these scenes, UNICEF Afghanistan immediately dispatched security and child protection teams straight to the airport. My colleagues spent day after night caring for children who had become separated or abandoned in the chaos and desperation of the evacuation, and traced those already flown to other countries. On Saturday, as the evacuation was winding down, we reunited those children still at the airport with their families. It was a practical, personal, and vibrant illustration of what UNICEF means when we say, no child left behind. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hervé, merci. We'll start with some question. Beytul.
Thank you very much, Beytul Yürük, Turkish News Agency, and thank you again on behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association for this briefing. I've got 2 questions for you. Can UNICEF confirm the killing of 7 children in the U.S. airstrikes? which took place yesterday. And also, I was wondering how the girls' education has been, in fact, impacted since the takeover of Taliban. Have you been in touch with the Taliban in terms of girls' education? Can they go to school? Are they prevented from going to school? Thank you.
Thank you very much. To date, I'm speaking under the control of my communication and child protection colleagues. We understand from open sources that 2 children were killed in the airstrike, or is it 1? Or 5? Oh, last night. Okay, sorry, I'm just getting the information from my communication officer here. So you're saying how many? 7, 6. Okay, 6. So we have confirmation from open source 6 children killed. And on the issue of girls' education, all schools are closed right now because of COVID mitigation measures. And before the school closing, we had girls were actually attending the community-based education programs, and there was no preventive measures put in place then for them to return to school. We are waiting for the return, for the scheduled return to school in more or less a month to actually evaluate the situations. We are talking to the new authorities, the new education authorities, and we have received no indication at this point of time that they will prevent girls to go to schools in primary schools. Over.
We'll go to the next question. Let me just see if I have questions in the chat. Yes, Kirsten, go ahead.
Hi, could you just confirm the numbers?
If you could just introduce yourself. Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. Yes, Kristen Salumi from Al Jazeera. Can you confirm the numbers? I think I might have misheard off the top in terms of the number of children impacted by this. And do you have specifically the number of displaced children, or is that number displaced children or just children in the country? Thanks.
The confirmation of the numbers we have from open source is seven children. In terms of children displaced across the country, we know that right now we have about roughly 550,000 people displaced. We don't have a very precise figures of children being parts of this population, but we are basically forging our response to reach out up to 100,000 children, displaced children. Over.
And I'm sorry, did you say 16 million at risk at the beginning? Was that the number I heard?
10 million children at risk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ibtisam?
Thank you. My name is Ibtisam Azim from the Daily Arabic, Al-Arab Al-Jadid. So my question is, if you could go more into, so I have a follow-up question on the 7 children killed. If you could confirm whether they were killed as a result of the strike, of the American strike, or not, or if you have the sources that can confirm that. And my question is to the challenges you are facing. What would you say the major challenges you are facing now in your operation? Thank you.
Yes, as I said, the number of children that we are able to report is from open sources. It's 7 children that have been killed. We don't know who is behind the strike.
Thank you. We'll go.
With regard.
Sorry, go ahead.
With regard to the challenges, I think the main challenges we have right now is actually mobilizing the resources that we need to respond to the needs of children. The second key challenges we have is that there is lack of cash inside the country, in the interior of the country and in Kabul. And many of our programs require cash, and we hope that the banking system will be able to operate very quickly. I would say the third, although we have some we have pre-positioned supplies before the crisis, we hope to be able to move our supplies across the borders to sustain our operation. The fourth main sort of obstacles that we anticipate, it's been reported by field officers that the prices of fuel is going up, and that will probably represent as well as an impediment to our operation. And lastly, we just need to make sure that the environment is safe and secure for a team to operate. Over.
Thank you. Let's go to the street. Iftikhar Ali, Associated Press of Pakistan. Iftikhar.
Thank you, Steph. Although my question has been asked by my colleague, Kristen, but may I ask the briefer, how much money, additional money is required to look after these vulnerable children?
We are appealing for about $200 million to respond to the needs of children in Afghanistan.
Can you repeat that figure, please?
And that covers a variety of sectors, obviously, from water and sanitation to child protection, nutrition, health, education. And obviously, this child protection crisis, as I said, will probably mean that we will need to increase our expenditures to ensure a protective environment for children in the country.
Thank you. If you could repeat the figure, the money figure at the beginning.
200 million?
200 million. Okay. Thank you. Abdelhamid Sayam.
Yes, thank you. My name is Abdelhamid Sayam from the Arabic daily Al-Quds Al-Arabi. Sir, it sounds like most of the blame is placed on Taliban now about this chaos and about the threats against children. 20 years of occupation leaving 3.7 million children out of school and spending billions of dollars on arms, but not on the ordinary civilians. Why the blame is not really fairly stated as we see this situation now unfolding in Afghanistan?
I'm not in a position to make a comment on this. What I can only say is that as UNICEF, our mandate is very clear across the globe, including in Afghanistan, is to reach out to children and make sure that they receive the services that they need. This is our humanitarian imperative. This is our mandate, and who to blame is not for UNICEF to decide. Over.
Thank you. Evelyn Leopold. Evelyn.
How do you do, Mr. De Lys? Evelyn Leopold from the Independent Media Institute and Past Blue. Could you clarify whether you get any supplies through the Afghan airport in Kabul? And if you do, how do you distribute them?
At this point of time, no. Before the crisis, before the 15, yes, we were getting most critical supplies such as vaccines, through the airport in Kabul. At this point of time, no. And as indicated by the spokesperson, WFP has been able to land a plane in Mazar, and that is very good news because it means that we have alternate way of supplying our operations until such time the airport is actually open and ready to receive cargo flights. Over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dulcie?
Hi, I'm Dulcie Leinbach from Past Blue. I have a couple of questions about, you said that the new education authorities have not given any indication that they will prevent girls from going to primary schools. So are they not going to allow girls to go to secondary schools? Is there some sort of restriction being set up already?
We are not aware of any restrictions openly communicated to us. We met with them. All the issues are on the table. All the issues are on the table, including education, secondary education for girls. And we will not, as I said, we will not give up. We will continue to advocate with them through different channels. that we have, and including the high-level officials, senior officials from different member states, from different organizations who are lobbying, also lobbying the Taliban to raise the age of education. But rest assured that in our interaction with the Education Commissioner, there is not an issue that we have not discussed, and we are continuing the discussion with them on the issue of girls' education. Over.
Okay, if you could just elaborate. You said there is discussion about limiting age limits. Is that correct?
No, there is no discussion on age limit. I'm saying all the issues are on the table in terms of allowing girls to go to the full education cycle, including university if they choose to do so. So we just have one initial interaction with them, and the discussion or the dialogue is continuing with the education authorities that are currently overseeing the education sector. So all issues are on the table, and it is a UNICEF commitment in general, and UNICEF Afghanistan commitment to keep pushing for these issues.
So are all your offices open in Afghanistan, or are you just operating out of Kabul?
No, we have 5 zonal offices open in Kandahar, Herat, Mazar, here in Kabul for the central region, and Jalalabad. All our offices are open. Actually, they were never closed except for the few days when the fighting was very intense. They didn't close, which our colleagues just braced for a few days.
And one more question, please. So are these people who are working for UNICEF, are they Afghan nationals?
Out of the 5 regional zonal offices, we have 3 offices are currently managed by international staff. These international staff have been overseeing this office throughout, and the rest of the staff are obviously national staff, national Afghan staff.
Thank you. Let's go to Arshad from Reuters. Arshad, and then we'll go to Stefano. Arshad, are you connected? Okay, let's go to Stefano in the room, and while the connection's worked on.
Thank you very much. Stefano Vaccara, La Voce di New York. We saw days ago the chaos in the Kabul airport with parents dropping children, the American soldiers, and so on. Then we find out that there are children that they have missing parents. They don't know what their parents are. Did the American army or authority contact you, the UN, to help to reunify those families? And do you have an idea how many children are alone and missing the parents in that chaos that happened at the airport?
Yes, thank you very much for this question, because it allows me to give you a bit more clarity on what we actually did at the airport. I mean, we were approached as the first children were being handed over to the Marines and the other international troops there. We were approached by different governments to actually deploy a child protection team. And that's what we did in the middle of the crowd that you saw. We were able to have actually one of our team members go across the wall, step over the wall, get inside the airport, and actually create a space and engage a dialogue with the military so that we can bring a much larger team. We have had a team of 4 colleagues permanently at the airport, national Afghans and international staff, actually looking after children, taking care of them, registering them. And at the same time, my child protection team here in Kabul was reaching out to countries across the globe that have welcomed these children to make sure that the tracing process has started and reunite them with their parents. This is an ongoing process. If my recollection is correct, we have traced outside of Afghanistan about 69 children that we are in a process to reunite with their parents. It is a complex exercise, as you may understand. And but at least on Saturday, when the operation was winding down, We had 7 children with us at the temporary airport facility that we set up, and we managed to bring these children back to our office, and then we handed these children to their parents because we were able to identify their parents here in Kabul.
Just
so
a
these
quick
children are safe with their families. Over.
A quick follow-up is because we saw a scene where they look like that the parents prefer the child, the baby, whatever it was, go over, over the line to give them a chance. When you're talking about unify the children with the parents, are the parents? I mean, maybe the parents are able to reach the children inside the airport and maybe leave with them, or you actually bringing back the children to the parents?
Well, it's difficult for us to answer that question at this point of time because we are precisely doing that tracing in an attempt to reunite these parents with their children. The problem is that when you see 5 or 10 seconds of a video shoot on the media, it's difficult to capture the entire life story of that child. So what we are doing as UNICEF is actually focusing on who are these children, where are their parents from, where their parents boarded in the different planes. So it's a very, very complex process that we are undertaking right now, and we have the support from all governments across the world who have received those children. And at the same time, we do have, and this is also an issue of concern to us, because we have reports of unaccompanied minors across the country, and we do have our child protection or child-friendly space that are operating with our NGOs partners, and children that are unaccompanied are actually being brought to this child-friendly space. And as we are doing as we are continuing the child tracing and the child registration process. Over. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. Hervé, I want to thank you very much and thank your team for making this happen. We wish be safe. And we hope to welcome you back at the briefing maybe next week or just to give us an update of what you're able to do on the ground.
No, thanks to all of you for the opportunity to exchange. It's always useful to be able to explain the reality on the ground. And it is complex, it is difficult, it is unexpected, but this is why we are UNICEF, and this is our job.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Merci. Bon.
Steph, there is a question on the chat. There is a question for you from Arshad Mahmoud.
Okay,
I didn't see the question.
Okay, I'll try to. I saw the question. We'll try to get to it. Thank you.
Sure.